Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt your regularly scheduled programming to bring you this special bulletin. The hiring practices across the industry. You would think anyone would want to hire as many people with experience, regardless of what profession it is: entertainment, video games, movies, hell, even industrial. You want someone with a little bit of knowledge of what it is your company does. I understand the need, the desire to hire the green team, to build up the new batch of recruits, to get them experience, to know what they're doing for the future, but to hire those newbies to work on, well, a rather massive intellectual property, probably one of your signature intellectual properties, may not be the greatest idea. And we possibly could have a reason for the oh so wonderful reception that Star Wars Outlaws got. In a little interview over here, got an article from Bounding into Comics, Spencer Bakuli. Ubisoft exec reveals inexperience of Assassin's Creed Shadows dev team. And I wonder if that was the same experience for Star Wars Outlaws. Quote, probably half the team is building a game for the first time. Yes, that does explain a lot. Half the team. Like, again, I say, I understand the need to hire new, inexperienced developers, people fresh out of the field, but I wonder how much of that hiring had to do with, I don't know, DIEESG, ideologically driven checkbox hiring practices that is prevalent across the industry. Guess the proof is going to be in the pudding when the game releases. In providing some insight as to just why the upcoming franchise entries looks to be low quality, that's being generous, Ubisoft Assassin's Creed franchise head Mark Alexis Quiote has revealed that probably half, so probably what, 40 to 50, under 50, I would guess, probably half, I would say that's less, of the devs currently working on Shadows are building a game for the first time. Regardless of your opinion, mine is maybe don't have that much inexperience on your flagship title or one of your flagship titles. Quiote spoke to the Shadows team level of experience while delivering a keynote speech at a recent 2024 XDS Entertainment Industry Summit. During a Q&A session held at the end of the talk, the Ubisoft exec was pressed by an attendee if he could speak to which strategies that you can, Lord have mercy, strategies that you find are working to build trust with your internal and external partners when you're communicating. In turn, Quiote asserted, I think it's being transparent, and yes, that's generally a good idea when it comes to especially your investors. You don't want to hide anything. You don't want to try to, I don't know, delay a game to fluff some numbers to make sure you end that fiscal year on a massively high note. I mean, I would hate to see that have a negative effect on your stock prices. People see the problems if you tried to hide them. Yeah, well, guess because people are intelligent. Treat them such. They will find it and they will lose trust in you for trying to hide it from them. Well, pretty sure a lot of people have already lost a lot of trust in Ubisoft considering their, interesting monetization practices. Building games is hard. Oh, Lord, yes, we know this. We know building games is hard. It's just a difficult thing to do. You can't be perfect all the time. Not everything can be Baldur's Gate 3, blah, blah, blah. I think we need to always be honest about that. There's one thing in my career that I keep remembering, and of course he recalls not really a quote from the comic book Penny Arcade, comic strip Penny Arcade, very popular, I loved it. But it's actually from the author of Penny Arcade when they were doing Penny Arcade Adventures on the Rain-Slick Precipice of Darkness. I picked it up, played it for a little while. I need to go back and play that. So the quote he talks about that he believes is like, at one point, they built a game, and one of the comic strips was about realizing how difficult it is to build games. We know how difficult it is. Moving on. And I think one of the titles or one of the things that was written is a game is shit until it's good. Well, that is true because you're developing the game. Early development, the game is going to be garbage, but you do have to keep trucking through. The problem is, Quiote, companies like yours, Ubisoft, and yeah, we're going to talk about CD Projekt Red, and pretty much across the board, maybe wait to release the game when it's good instead of releasing it when it sucks and then trying to make it good along the way. Stop treating your customers your paying customers as paid beta testers. And maybe you won't lose so much trust from your audience. The actual quote, let's see what we got here. It was from Jerry Tycho Hawkins, who used the phrase, quote, "A game is shit until it's awesome," in multiple interviews concerning their game. Penny Arcade Adventures, yada yada. Quixote continues, "I think this is something we've all experienced. You're like, it sucks, it sucks, it sucks." And you should be used to saying that when it comes to Ubisoft's most recent titles. And then suddenly it starts to be good. Well, that's definitely not true, especially when it comes to, again, Star Wars Outlaws. Am I dunking on it? Yes, because it's their most recent release and it was an abysmal failure. I think it's walking people through that. But what happens when people are tired of walking through your garbage games that you release unfinished, buggy mess with stealth mechanics that are broken, NPC AI that is absolutely abysmally broken, and falling through the geometry? That's not a finished game. As it was here in the discussion of the difficulty of building video games, that the franchise lead revealed the team's overall lack of experience. Here's the fun part, folks. These are the people working on the next big AAA or quadruple A title from Ubisoft in the Assassin's Creed line. Quote, "One of the things that I've noticed since the pandemic is that we have a lot of juniors on our team, and I don't know if this is something that's your case as well, but the seniority has lowered globally. Maybe it's because the seniority, the experienced developers are tired of the checkbox ideological PC nonsense going on at the studios, or possibly as well, they're tired of the get this game out now so we can make our money. How can we monetize it? Can we do a live service with this game that's initially only supposed to be a single player game?" They're tired of that nonsense. They've made their money, they have their legacy, and they move on to either something else or they move on into retirement. They don't want to play your silly corporate games of infesting single-player games with predatory monetization over and over again. Easily one of those two possibilities. So yes, you're going to have to hire new people to take their place. But how many of those new people do you put to work on your big title? Your yearly, supposed to be, blockbuster revenue title. Maybe work on something smaller first. And probably half the team that's building an Assassin's Creed game is building a game for the first time. Check your hiring practices and maybe look for some people with a little bit more experience. Maybe, perhaps. They don't know, so you have to explain to them that even though they're playing the game right now and they think it's the worst thing they've ever seen, it's going to be good, hopefully before you release it. We're going to get there, hopefully before you release it, and explain that you've been there before as a leader. I remember my first time on Assassin's Creed, it was July and the game was shipping in October, he recalled, as of his time working on Assassin's Creed Syndicate. I never played it, so I can't give an opinion. Quote continues, "I was like, there's no way this thing ends up shipping. And then we got a 91 on Metacritic, so cool. The critics loved your game. Could it possibly have been because they want to continue their sweet little access to early release titles, perhaps? We don't want to upset the big bad Ubisoft and telling them their game is shit by giving them an 80 or lower score on Metacritic or IGN or whatever Metacritic, whatever critic website there is." And I was like, okay, that's good. So I was wrong, maybe, perhaps. Because again, it's not good until it is, and you need to try to be as transparent as possible. It's not good until it is. That is such a wonderful statement. You probably aren't the one that is going to ultimately decide whether your game is good or not. This is a market-driven, the market will decide whether your game is good. I had someone say that was a stupid statement on Twitter, and it's very mind-boggling, the idea to go against the customer, the potential customer, the criticisms from people who look at your trailer, look at your gameplay, and look at the people behind it and go, yeah, that's too many red flags and I'm going to walk away. And then the barrage of insults come in. Simply understanding that the market will decide on how well or how popular, how successful your game is so very important, and obviously a foreign concept to a lot of people. And I guess it's something I will just never understand. Drawing his answer to a close, Quixote ultimately affirmed, but like, the play test results, the appreciation, what's working, not your game, what's not working, Star Wars Outlaws. I think genuinely sharing with your team is, in my experience, what has allowed me to maintain the communication channels open, making sure some people can come and see me if they see a problem. So I think it's really about trust and making sure you don't break the trust in your team. Well, yeah, duh. But why? I don't know. Everybody's going to have a different opinion as far as the hiring practice and who you want and who you don't want on your team. Could this be a reason, again, like I said in the beginning, could this be a reason why Assassin's Creed Shadows was such a, bit of a buggy mess, unfinished, boring quest lines, the faction quests, the faction system in the game that I heard nothing but bad things about. So I don't know. But then again, that just could just be from hateful man babies across the internet who do want to do everything they possibly can to do hate on every single solitary thing that comes out. Again, go watch the reviews, go check them out, and make that decision for yourself. Hiring half of the team, having half of your team that has never built a video game. I will not understand that. Have them work on something smaller. Have them with teams, or maybe a third or a quarter of the team. That's your green team. That's your newbies. Putting them alongside people with more experience in the industry to have them learn, to nurture them, to teach them, mentor them into something far, far better. But when you have at least half your team, or probably half the team, working on something new, you do not have the time, especially when it comes to a big budget release title like Assassin's Creed. You don't have the time to nurture and teach them. So we'll have to wait and see come February how this game's going to end up and whether or not this building, half the team building for the first time, how much that's going to show. And we're definitely going to be keeping an eye on it because, hey, it's Ubisoft and it's Assassin's Creed. And, oh boy, all the controversy surrounding Yasuke. But let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Leave a like, leave a dislike, do all the nifty little things that YouTubers beg you to do. And I hope to see you on the next one.